So here we have classification based on monomers. One is a homopolymer and second one is a copolymer. Homopolymer means it is consisting of identical monomers. Example, polyethylene, PVC, polypropylene, nylon. So means homopolymers means they will have same kind of monomers which will be connected together to form a macromonomer. So such kind of polymers we call it as homo. Homo means same kind. So examples we have polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, polypropylene, and nylon. And the second subcategory over here is copolymers, which consisting of monomers of a different chemical structure. Means the different monomers of different chemical structure, they combine to form a macromolecule, what we call it as a polymer. Such kind of polymers we call it as copolymers. Example is nylon 6,6 is the best, one of the best example for a copolymer. And the next classification is based upon the thermal response. There are two subcategories here, thermoplastic polymers and thermosetting polymers. So thermoplastic polymers are the one which can be easily molded into a desired shape. Means by just heating and subsequent cooling at a room temperature, you can import any kind of shapes and it can be molded into any kind of shapes easily. Such kind of polymers we call it as thermoplastic polymers. And this type of polymers, they will be very soft. On heating they will become soft and they will be hard on cooling.
Sir, namaskara. Aita ಊಟ?
And this type of polymers may be linear type or a branched type. And examples for such kind of polymers is polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, and polypropylene. Second subcategory is thermosetting polymers. Thermosetting polymers are hard and infusible on heating, and they are not soft on heating under pressure, and they cannot be remolded. These type of polymers are cross-linked type, and they cannot be reused. Example for such kind of polymers is bakelite. Then next classification is classification based on the mode of formation. There is two types here. We have addition polymers and condensation polymers. These addition polymers are the one which have been obtained or formed by monomers of repeatedly without the removal of byproducts. Means when you combine the monomers or when you add, and the monomers are added by the means of polymerization, the polymers which forms without, of course, the monomers which are added repeatedly, and during the polymerization process, an addition of polymers will result in without the removal of byproducts. type of polymers, we call it as an addition polymers. And this type of polymers will contain all the atoms of monomers, and hence their molecular weight or integral multiple of monomer. Means, since it is a combination of many polymers, and molecular weight of each monomer contributes to the molecular weight of the polymer. That's why the statement there, molecular weight or integral multiple of monomer. And this type of polymers may be linear or branched type. Example for such type of polymers is polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, polypropylene, and Teflon. And second category here is condensation polymers. It's just an opposite to the addition polymers here. This type of polymers are formed by the combination of two monomers by the removal of the small molecules like water, alcohol, ammonia, etc. Means this type of polymers during polymerization, when two monomers atoms are added or it is being combined, it always results in the removal of the small molecules like water or alcohol or ammonia, etc. And of course, their molecular weight are not an integral multiple of the molecules. And generally, this type of polymers will have esters and amide linkages in their molecule. Example for such kind of polymers is polyamide, nylons, and polyester. So this is a classification based on the formation. Next is classification based on the application and the physical properties. So here, there are three. We have three different polymers to discuss based on the application and physical properties. One is fiber, second one is a plastic, and third one is the resin. Fibers. These are the polymers which are drawn into a long filament material, so that their length is at least 100 times its diameter. When you look at example nylon and terylene, so you can just see these type of polymers. They are in the form of a fibers. So you can just look at very thin blender-like material or units. So such type of polymers we call it as a fibers. Generally, where their length is at least 100 times its diameter. Since it has been stretched, it will have a very high tensile strength, and they are highly crystalline. So high tensile strength because of it will have hydrogen bonding between the molecules. So there hence it is having high tensile strength, and of course they are highly crystalline. This is fibers based on their application and their physical property. Then the second type of this is plastics, and these plastics are polymers shaped into a tough and hard utility articles by application of heat and pressure. Means generally the plastics, when we say a plastic, they are obtained from application of heat. So you can shape this kind of polymers. Polymers shaped into a tough and hard utility articles. So such kind of polymers we call it as a plastic. Means with the application of a heat and a pressure, so you can make any kind of utility articles. So means you can import any kind of shapes into a tough and very hard property. Such kind of polymers we call it as plastics. The intermolecular force between polymeric chain or intermediate between the resins and the elastomers means the molecular force, intermolecular force, which will build across each molecule in such kind of polymers or polymer chains. They will stand intermediate, resins and the elastomers. Basically, the resins and elastomers, they will have extreme intermolecular force. In between that, the intermolecular force of the plastic. This kind of plastics are partially crystalline. Examples for such kind of polymers is polystyrene and polyvinyl. Then the third category here is resins. Resins are the polymers which are used as an adhesives and sealants in the liquid phase. These are such a kind of polymers where you can have the polymers which can be used as an adhesives. So this is the form of a semi-liquid type, and of course some are in the liquid type also, and they will form a strong bond. So such kind of polymers we call it as a resins. So they will have very low intermolecular forces across the polymer chain, and they'll have a low molecular weight also. Okay. Examples for such kind of polymers is epoxy adhesives and the polysulfide seals. So this is the classification of polymers under different headings based on the source or based on the structure, based on the monomers, or based on. So of course, different types of polymers. We are listed out the examples, corresponding examples also we are listed out. So classification, you can make it in different ways, but I feel this is the best way of classifying the polymers. Different books and different books, you can see they will have a different way of classifying the polymers. Of course, all will form in the same way, but this is around 6 types we have discussed for you, different classifications of polymers. Okay. Any clarification? Any clarification, guys? Hello. Right. Next, we move on to the concept of functionality. What actually you mean by the word functionality? So as we know, functionality means ability to perform a task or a function, or we can put it in the form of the set of functions that something is able or equipped to perform. Why I'm talking this functionality over here is we are very much interested in the word functionality in polymers, and especially in polymer chemistry. And we can see that functionality in polymer chemistry over there. See, according to IUPAC means International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry. It is basically a union at the international level, so which consisting of different members from across the country, across the world, and they will form one union. So basically, the persons from different applied chemistry background, so they will form and they will have a union. That is what we call it as an International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. So they will give the definition for functionality in polymer chemistry. According to this, a functionality of a monomer is defined as the number of bonds that a monomer's repeating unit forms in a polymer with other monomers. Yes, when it comes to the word functionality, so different capacities they can define functionality. So what functionality? But what we are interested here is the functionality in polymer chemistry. So what it defines a monomer, functionality of a monomer. They defines the functionality of a monomer. The number of bonds that the monomer's repeating unit forms in a polymer with other monomers. Means, as we already discussed, a polymer is a combination of different monomers. So monomers that combine together with bonding, they will form a macromolecule. Monomers are micromolecules, very small molecular structures. They bond together and they will go into form a macromolecule, what we call it as a polymers. So what functionality means? The number of bonds, how many number of bonds that the monomers repeating unit forms in a polymer with other monomers. This is what we generally call it as functionality. We are going to define a functionality in polymer. And of course, other definition also you can see here. A quality or a state of being functional, a design that is admired both for its beauty and for its functionality, as especially the set of functions or capabilities associated with the computer software or hardware or electronic device that management functionalities such as data integrity, security, recoverability, and management. This is a different concept definition of functionality, because this is not required for us. Let us move on to the next concept, what we call it as polydispersity. These are all the concepts you might have been discussed in your chemistry, either engineering chemistry or in the chemistry concept in your PU level. What actually you mean by the word polydispersity means state of being polydispersed. Basically, this polydispersity, which measures the degree to which the colloid is polydispersed. So how it is being dispersed with the different directions and different marks. This is what we call it as polydispersity. See, one of the most important index, what we call it as in our polymer chemistry, is the polydispersity index. In short, we call it as a PDI. So it forms a very important factor, or important parameter in a polymer chemistry. So how means, based upon the value of PDI, means the value, so value which might be nearest to the unity, or it might be nearest to the or means not nearest to the unity. So we can decide, we can obtain the different material property. We can say which polymers will have good mechanical properties and good crystalline structure. So there is an indication. Polydispersity index is an indication of the behavior of the material, behavior of the polymers. So this PDI, if the polymer chain lengths are not uniform in size, please remember, if the polymer chain lengths are not uniform in size, then PDI is not close to the unity. Means when the value of PDI is not close to the unity means what? The polymeric chain length are not in uniform size. And conversely, if the polymer chain has got a uniform size, the polymeric chain length is of uniform size, then the value of PDI is close to the unity. So means depending upon the uniformity in the size of the chain, so the value of PDI depends. PDI is very close to 1 when you have a polymeric chain is having a polymeric chain length. Polymeric chain length is having a uniform size. And if it is not having a uniform size, then the PDI value is not close to it. So what is the use of this obtaining PDI means? If the value of PDI is very close to the unity, such kind of polymers will have certain advantages. And of course, there are disadvantages also. But when you take a look into the advantages, because we need to process the polymers for different applications. So based upon the value of PDI, people will go in to choose the polymers and they will go into synthetic for the required applications also. So when the PDI value for a polymer is close to the unity, they will have a very good mechanical properties, good crystalline nature, high impact strength, etc. But advantage, these are the advantage, good mechanical properties, good crystalline structure, and high impact strength. It will have certain disadvantages coming. It will have a high viscosity and poor. This is the thing what you're supposed to be very careful while you are selecting the polymer for your applications. Okay. So this is regarding the polydispersity. This I think this is more than enough for RU level because I'm not going in detail with the polydispersity because once it has to define what is polydispersity, just I'm giving this definition. Okay. Next comes the molecular weight. Of course, I think these definitions and concept of molecular mass or molecular weight is very familiar to you. But I'm just taking it too far because it's specified in the syllabus and also very important for us in the molecular weight of a polymers, how to get the molecular weight of a polymers, because polymer is a combination of so many smaller units, monomers, each will having a low molecular weight. Commonly used to describe a mass of a polymer molecule. All elements have defined mass dependent upon isotopic composition. This molecular weight basically is the word which is used to describe the mass of a polymer molecule. All elements have defined mass dependent upon isotopic composition. The atomic weight of an element can be defined as the weighted average of all the naturally occurring isotopes using the carbon-12 scale and is given by the in the sense. So why I'm just giving this molecular weight here is it is not just like the molecular weight of any compound, chemical compound calculate. So here there are an n number of monomers. Of course, it might be of same kind or it might be of a different kind. They are bonded together, right? And each monomers will have their own molecular weight or molecular mass. And when either it might be a linear chain or it might be a branching chain or it might be a cross-linked chain. So again, everything will matters for calculating the molecular weight. See, this molecular weight of an element can be defined as a weighted average. See here, generally for polymers, we use the weighted average method of all naturally occurring isotope using carbon-12 scale and is given by the formula. I think formula you can see on the slide there. So formula is given. AI corresponds to abundance of specific isotope and MI corresponds to a mass of a specific isotope. Yeah. So this is the one important thing. Polymer molecular weight. When it comes for a polymer molecular weight, the term molecular weight is, as it is applied to a polymer materials, implies something different from what generally is meant for small. That's what I was talking about. So polymers is of a different kind of category of materials. So when we speak about the word molecular weight, with respect to the polymeric materials, it implies something different. Means what we generally use the molecular weight for smaller molecules, but it does not hold good for molecular weight of polymers. The main reason for that is polymer sample does not have a single molecular weight, but rather a range of values. Range of values means different monomers of different kind combined together in a different way. This will constitute for variation in the molecular weight. You cannot take the total intermolecular weight, means the molecular weight of each monomer and you can calculate. So that's why polymer sample does not have a single molecular weight, but rather the range of values. In a given sample, there will be a polymer chain which contains widely different number of repeats. What I was talking about. You cannot say that each polymer chain will have the same number of repeating. Different chain will have a different monomer units, and we cannot roughly we can calculate what is the molecular weight based upon the number of monomers, number of chains. So in fact, most polymers contain some residual monomer. Degree of polymerization is equal to 1, and some chains which does contain several hundred repeated units. DP means greater than 100. Sometimes degree of polymerization 1 and degree of polymerization is 100. So these molecules will differ in relative molecular mass by relative orders of magnitude. So why I'm talking this concept here is when you're calculating the molecular weight of a polymer, it is not just like a how you calculated the molecular weight for a simple compound or a small molecule. So here the structure will change, the number of monomer units in each chain will go to change, the way they have been bonded together will go to change, everything, all this will contribute for variation in the molecular weight. So that's why we'll have a range values of molecular weight in the case of polymers. For this reason, the molecular weight of a polymer is reported using averages. These averages are intended to describe the distribution of molecular weight values for the polymer chains. Means how the molecular weight has been distributed across the structure. This is what we call it as the average molecular weights. There are three different molecular weight averages to provide. One is called the average molecular weight, M suffix n. Second one, weighted average molecular weight, M suffix w. And viscosity average molecular. So three different averages generally they calculate for a polymers. Not only one molecular weight, it will have average molecular weight Mn, they will have weight average molecular weight Mw, and they will have viscosity molecular weight. Of course, apart from that, they have several other averages also used for a lesser extent, including Z average molecular weight, Mz, and Z plus 1 average molecular. So this is a different way of obtaining the polymer. That's why we told it will have a range values. The molecular weight of a polymer will have a range values. Rather than to have range values means you can obtain with the different average methods. This is a molecular weight distribution. In short, we call it as MWD. What actually MWD represents is weight distribution represents the frequency of polymer length. Means molecular weight distribution represents the frequency of polymer lengths. So how polymer length? What is the frequency? How many times the same length has been repeated? How many times there are different lengths out there? This is what the MWD or molecular weight distribution will go to represents. This frequency might be a narrow or a broad. Means narrow means the narrow distribution represents the polymers about the same length, and broad distribution represents polymers with varying loads. Means MWD, when you say MWD, you will have two frequency ranges. One is a narrow, another one is a broad. So narrow means the polymers of about same length, and broad means polymers with varying. So this molecular weight distribution, basically it is being controlled by the conditions during polymerization. In the sense, depending upon the applications, so what kind of molecular weight distribution is required, and this distribution of molecular weight can be controlled by maintaining different conditions during polymerization. Of course, this molecular weight distribution can be symmetrical or skewed. You can have a different way of distribution of this symmetry. And of course, we have different average methods of calculating the molecular weight. So number average molecular weight, we have a formula weight average molecular weight, Z average or size average molecular weight, viscosity average molecular weight. So these are how we generally calculate the average molecular weights. Small variations in the formula we can observe that where the summation is the overall chain length. So when you put a summation over there, it is over all the chain lengths which start from I is equal to 1 to R capital I is equal to N. And Ni is the number of molecules whose weight is M suffix I. The viscosity of average molecular weight also makes use of an additional term A. So when you look at the last formula, viscosity average molecular weight, where you have the additional term which is called A. This parameter is an empirical constant that is dependent upon the hydrodynamic volume or the effective volume of the solvated polymer molecule in solution and varies with the polymer, solvent and temperature. Means, so we have the value of A, it should be weight is empirical constant. So the empirical constant value they have given, maybe they might have done number of experimental work, experimental issues, and based upon that they might have given the formula. And in that formula we have one constant called A, which call it as an empirical constant. And this A depends upon hydrodynamic volume or the effective volume of the solvated polymer molecule in the solution. And this varies with the polymer, solvent, and the temperature. And when you look at MV and MV and MW are same when A has the value of 1. So weighted average molecular weight, second one, viscosity average molecular weight. So both formulae, when the value of A is equal to 1, both will have the same formula. So this is how the molecular weight distribution can be shown. And we have one graph actually. This is a molecular distribution of molecular weights. This is a diagram I think you can see here, where the plot of a distribution of molecular weights in typical polymer sample. So here, the plot is drawn for weight fraction and molecular weight, and the distribution of different average weights, Mn, Mv, Mw, Mz. So this is how the molecular weights will be distributed across the polymeric structure. So I will stop at this point now. Hello.
నాకు అలా గుర్తుంది.
Hello, my dear students. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Who is this? Girjesh. Girjesh. Arun. Dear students, any clarifications for this, for today's class? You can most welcome. Hello. Hello. Arsha. Sanjay, can you hear me? Taslim, you are there?
Yes, sir.
So, any clarification, any doubts? Of course, these things are discussed in the class once. But it's important to just revise those things.
Sir.
Can you hear me, Taslim?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We have just added with molecular weight and polydispersity today. Apart from that, what we
Okay.
discussed in the class. Okay. So, any clarifications, anything?
Yes, sir.
You can have. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, bye. Okay, guys, thank you very much for patience listening. Okay, we'll meet you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.